anticipated Pac-12 South Division showdown. Arizona State's Dennis Erickson has been building his program towards this season. Their Devil Walk now leads them to one of their biggest challenges, trying to stop USC's Matt Barkley. It's the Trojans and Sun Devils right now. ESPN's College Football Primetime is presented by Hampton Hotels. Number 23, USC has come to Tempe, and Sun Devil fans are ready for this one. USC's past decade of dominance hit Arizona State right in the gut. Trojans have won 11 straight against the Sun Devils. Good evening, everybody. Joe Tessitore, as always, with my partner, Rod Gilmore, and we will hear from Shelley Smith in moments. Huge day of college football, and we hope to have a real good nightcap for you here in the desert. Rod, a couple weeks ago, we were here when they had a thriller overtime win against Missouri. Brock Osweiler was good that night, their quarterback. Tonight, he needs to be great against USC.
Well, he's very talented quarterback, but he took a step back last week against Illinois. That'll happen to young quarterbacks. 6 sacks, sometimes he held the ball too long, 3 turnovers, and then on a potential game-winning drive, 4 straight incompletions. So he's got to grow up a little bit, be a little more consistent. They want that out of him tonight.
Well, consistency is not an issue when it comes to USC's passing game. They've got one of the most productive guys in the country in Matt Barkley, and they have a tremendous target out there at the receiver position.
Yeah, what a pair. We've seen Barkley for a couple years, and we thought he was pretty good. He is much better now. Put the tape on, you watch him. He clearly is stronger. He's throwing a much better deep ball. Off to a great start this season. 9 touchdowns, only 1 pick. And guess what? It doesn't hurt when you have a guy like Robert Woods on the outside who is setting himself up to have possibly the greatest season for a USC wide receiver in history. Better than Lynn Swann, better than Keyshawn Johnson, already off to 33 catches, only 3 games in.
Matt Barkley had a lot to say about Arizona State's linebacker Vontaze Burfict this week. Said he's a dirty player. His switch is always on, and it's not a good switch. Shelley Smith is with Trojans coach Lane Kiffin.
Lane, your players talked a lot about Vontaze Burfict this week. What have you told them about how to handle what could be a volatile situation?
Well, this is a great crowd tonight and a great game and a great environment versus a great team. So it's not about them. It's about us being composed, especially with our young guys.
All right, Matt Barkley 2 years ago was not very good here. He's different now. What do you expect from him tonight?
That means nothing. 2 years ago, none of us were here. So we expect him to play really good like he has all year.
All right, thanks, Lane.
Thanks, Shelley.
Got to go back to 1999, the last time that USC lost to ASU, and there is Vontaze Burfict. Many say the most intimidating player in college football. All-America candidate at middle linebacker for ASU. Of course, the significance tonight, Rod, the Pac-12 South Division.
Well, it's a big game for both these teams. Now, USC can't win the South or the Pac-12 and head to postseason play because of the ban, but Arizona State can. UCLA has already knocked off Utah, so regardless, USC is going to figure in what happens in this division all season long.
Told you about the win streak. And Coach Erickson's squad is up against. Coach Erickson just 1-8 against USC at 3 different Pac-12 schools. USC has won their last 5 straight here at Tempe. Andre Hadari set to kick off for the Trojans. And a booming kick, the touchback fielded by Rashad Ross. So here comes the junior quarterback, the 6'8", Brock Osweiler. Last week against Illinois, sacked 6 times, turned over the ball 3 times.
They blitzed him. Illinois went after him, and he didn't handle it well. The offensive line didn't handle it well. So they expect that USC will come after him as well.
Chris Filippo, the middle linebacker for the Trojans, a veteran force on that defense. Inside handoff goes to Jamal Miles. Let's take a look at our Chick-fil-A impact players.
Arizona State has some key guys. Certainly we'll be watching all night long. Aaron Pflugrad has had a spectacular season, had a big night against Missouri a couple of weeks ago. Not a big guy, but certainly very effective. Jamal Miles will be all over the field. He is a utility player and will come into the backfield and be outside.
Osweiler now keeps it himself and goes for a gain of about 4.5 before he's taken down by Gallipo.
Well, Tess, on the defensive side, how about T.J. McDonald? He is an outstanding player. He will sneak up around the line of scrimmage, get involved in the run game, and can take over a ball game in the back end by delivering big hits.
That Tim was a two-time All-American back in the 80s. 3rd and 5 now for the Sun Devils. Pressure on Osweiler, and he dives ahead for that line to make, and it looks like he has the first down.
He's certainly willing to tuck it and run a bit more than we've seen him do in the past. That may be a reaction to last week. And, you know, Tess, as we watch tape and talk about him, he is 6'8", but he plays more like he's about a 6'2" or 6'3" guy, not a guy who seems to be awkward.
Had a rushing touchdown a week ago, willing to use his legs. And this is Cameron Marshall. Now Marshall, their normal starter, gets a big burst. And look at Marshall on a sprained ankle he's been dealing with all week. Shakes a defender and scores. It wasn't the prettiest run, but the best possible result. Jawanza Starling with the missed tackle there, and Rod, Cameron Marshall not so fluid on that bad ankle, but boy, oh boy, is he tough to take down.
Well, it was a great job by that offensive line of Arizona State. Not a bad job on a bad ankle either.
And Alex Garut tacks on the extra point.
Tess, now when you can get your center, let's stop it right there. Watch them pull out their center and their tackle. When they pull them out, they got a chance to get out in front and do something. They get to the edge, no leverage by USC, and Marshall takes care of it himself.
We were watching Cameron Marshall in pregame warmups. Really, you were surprised at one point. You turned to me and said, wow, I can't believe he's working this much in pregame. You could see how much he was dealing with that ankle.
Yeah, we watched him in warmups, and he had trouble all week. And to see him in warmups doing the teamwork and taking so many handoffs, I thought, geez, you know, he's really testing it out. I don't know that he's going to be able to go. And look at him. He opens up with a big touchdown run.
A 70-yard touchdown run for Cameron Marshall, who went to Valley Christian in San Jose, California. So many of these Arizona State players from the state of California. And so many of them from Southern California. And were once on the recruiting list of SC, ended up here with the Sun Devils.
Yeah, no doubt. Funny how we were talking all week about USC's run defense and how it hasn't been the same in the last few years. And lo and behold, Arizona State stings them right off the bat with that.
Alex Garut to kick. And this is Robert Woods from the 2. And Woods is dragged down close to the 30-yard line. That was Torrin Harris. So USC's Matt Barkley out for the first time tonight. Last week he threw a USC record 5 touchdown passes, 5 different receivers catching those scoring strikes against Syracuse.
He is stronger, much stronger arm, much better fundamentals at the quarterback spot.
Mark Tyler is going to test the middle of that Arizona State defense for a gain of 4. Our Chick-fil-A impact players with that USC offense.
Well, we started talking about Barkley, but don't forget about Mark Tyler in the backfield. He's come back to take over that starting spot after missing the opening game with the suspension. Robert Woods, he is such an impact player. At defenses will find a way to get 2 or 3 guys on him, and we will watch Burfict all night long. One of the top 5 linebackers in the country, but it's been off to a shaky start this season so far.
Should also watch the emotions of Vontaze Burfict, number 7. 2nd and 6 now for Barkley. And here is Woods, his first of the night, and it goes for a first down.
Looking at Woods, we were talking about his impact. You looked at the stats. He had 33 catches coming into this game. The next closest guy had, 8?
By the way, that's the best 3-game span in USC history. And think of all the great ones who came through USC. Of course, recently Steve Smith and Ronald Johnson, Mike Williams, but Woods the best 3-game stretch. Tyler on first down, and he is stacked up right away by Bo Moose. Let's check in with Reese Davis.
Joe Test, time for a Taco Bell studio update. Mississippi State, Louisiana Tech in overtime. State intercepted a pass from La Tech had it. Chris Relf with Darius Perkins ball game. The Fighting Dan Mullins escaped an embarrassing loss by beating Louisiana Tech in overtime by 6.
Now those Fighting Dan Mullins had a tough go of it with LSU in that battle. Reese and Mark are going to be very busy tonight after this great day of college football. 2nd and 11 now, empty backfield for Barkley. And the flag comes in.
False start. Number 86 of the offense. 5-yard penalty. 2nd down.
Terry Layden heads up this Pac-12 crew tonight.
But that's one of the things that we will watch is how Arizona State handles Robert Woods. I mean, he's a guy that, with so many catches, draws a lot of attention.
Lane Kiffin calls it the Robert factor.
Yeah. You know, guys will rotate 2 or 3 guys his way, which creates opportunities for other players.
2nd and 16 now after the flag. Play action. Barkley, plenty of time. He's looking for Woods. And Robert Woods laid out for him, but he was a couple steps beyond Keelan Johnson.
Well, you can't lose him, though. I mean, he's the guy you have to pay attention to. Clearly, a bit of a miscommunication there. As you saw the safety Johnson coming over, he ran over the top of Johnson while he was playing the deep area. And what a great job of Woods, just cutting in behind him, getting wide open.
So now 3rd and 16. They need to cross midfield and get to the 47 of ASU. That's Amir Carlisle getting the carry that time. A true freshman who's been banged up and now just getting back to good health. And Vontez Burfict was quick to meet him.
Not a bad start for a defense that has been depleted. Arizona State comes into this game hobbling short, 5 starters on defense because of injury.
Negretti on to kick. Kyle Negretti, a redshirt freshman, and Jamal Miles, who's been a star of special teams, back for the Sun Devils. And it takes a good USC bounce all the way inside the 5, down to the 1. TJ McDonald, their star safety, coming up big on special teams to down this. Cameron Marshall, the difference now, 7-zip ASU.
ESPN's College Football Primetime is presented by Hampton Hotels. At Hampton, we love having you here. And in part by One Main Financial. Your needs, your goals, your dreams.
Joe Tessitore, Rod Gilmore, Shelley Smith with you here at ASU, where they're up 7-zip on the Trojans. Arizona State pinned deep after the strong punt by Kyle Negretti. Coach Dennis Erickson, 8 would-be starters missing from this team. This was supposed to be the year to have a big year. Still can be, but they have to overcome some obstacles now. Here's Marshall. And this time Cameron Marshall nowhere to go as he's tackled by Deion Bailey.
We'll talk about those injuries, Tess. A bunch of guys missing on the defense, but just look up top. Look at what you lose off the offense. DeAndre Lewis, TJ Simpson would have been real helpful to this offense. Stephen Threet had concussions, and he's now part of the coaching staff here. But a big blow to that defense as they've lost 5 starters over there.
Marshall again. And this time fights his way for just about a yard as Christian Tupou was quick to stop him. So it'll set up a 3rd and 8 with their backs up against that goal line.
Keep in mind that Arizona State struggled to protect Osweiler last week against Illinois. 3rd down situations and blitzes.
Quickly to Miles, unable to get past Roby. Strong defensive stand that time by USC.
That is a great play by Roby out there in the corner. You're in open space, one-on-one with a guy like Miles who can shake you and make you miss. Watch him size him up and make a clean tackle. No help whatsoever behind him. That is a great play.
So now Josh Hubner hunting, and you can see his heels are right at the back of the end zone. And Nickel Roby is the return man for USC. And this is a high but short kick, and it takes a bounce, and it ends up taking a good bounce for Arizona State. Another 15 yards on the back end of that. Matt Barkley in the Trojan offense on the field when we return. Lane Kiffin, head coach at USC. Trailing by a touchdown early on here on the road is number 23. His quarterback, Matt Barkley, has been the starting quarterback since the day he arrived on campus.
And a pretty good one, too. And certainly getting better.
Good field position now. After the defense did their job, Barkley, play action. Takes a strike cross field, and it is incomplete as he was trying to get it to Randall Telfer, and a flag came in down there at the 20 at the end of that play. Devron Carr had the coverage of Telfer.
Pass interference. Number 1 of the defense. 15-yard penalty. First down.
You know, Tess, that's part of what we're talking about with Barkley, the deep ball. That's a hard throw. He's going to roll to his right and throw back across the field left. Takes a pretty good arm to do that. Just a little bit of contact there by Carr caused the flag, but you can see the arm strength that Barkley has now.
So after the pass interference, a first down at the 38. Mark Tyler. Good move by Tyler and a gain of 9.
And just to go back to Barkley, now Lane Kiffin told us that he thinks Barkley is better because he's finally grown into his body. You know, they changed his diet, they changed his workout routine, so he's slimmer than when he was a freshman. And he said, you know, he's really grown into it. I think there's more to it than that, because when I put the tape on, I see a quarterback who's been coached up, who's better fundamentally with his footwork and everything.
And all that experience paying off. 2nd and 2. Tyler again. And another first down for the Trojans. Of course, he started off the season red hot, had 34 completions in the opener against Minnesota. That set the single game record at USC.
Yeah, he didn't stop there, came right back. Next against Utah, had another 200-yard passing game and a close, hard-fought victory, and then just went off last week with 5 touchdown passes.
Moved into 5th place on USC's career passing and total offense list. Of course, the likes of Carson Palmer and Matt Weiner, Rodney Peete ahead of him. Tyler on first down again. And a gain of about 3 that time for Tyler. Tackled by Coleman. Davon Coleman, who's getting the start at defensive end with junior Onyeli out for about 4 to 6 weeks. And Onyeli, that's a big hole to fill at defensive end for Arizona State.
Yeah, he's a really good player, 240-pound outside linebacker, experience, solid player. And now you go with Coleman, who's bigger but not as experienced.
Carlisle the back with Barkley here on 2nd and 8. Tried to set up the screen, and here is Carlisle. Ball comes loose, and he recovers as it goes out of bounds. It was Corey Adams who was on top of him.
And I believe that is a catch and a fumble out of bounds. He had possession of the ball. It looks like he took a couple of steps with it, which would give him the required possession.
Yeah, no doubt about it.
Yeah, he had possession of that.
So that backs them up.
Yep, that's a loss.
Makes for a 3rd and 13.
Yeah, and you're in that red, not quite the red zone, but the scoring zone area, that 30-yard line where you start looking, well, I'm in the field goal area, and I want to make sure I don't lose that. So you don't want to sack in this area.
Woods is the single receiver to the near side, and now they send Grimble in motion. And they go with Tyler, and he goes absolutely nowhere as he was taken down by Vontez Burfict.
And a surprisingly conservative call by Lane Kiffin, as there's a player down.
So they stuff things on 4th down, and there's an Arizona State defensive player who is being tended to by the medical staff.
You know, Tess, you think a 3rd and 12, you think Barkley and Woods, you take a shot at it, but I believe Kiffin was concerned about having a sack, having a loss, anything with pressure coming in that situation that would take you out of a potential scoring range where you could have an attempt at a field goal at least.
That's Will Sutton, the defensive tackle, who is now up and walking off and gets pat on the hat from Dennis Erickson.
You know, Tess, during warm-ups, the kickers seem pretty happy with the conditions here.
Oh, we were talking to those USC kickers. Hadari said, listen, I like this thin desert air. I got a little more on the ball compared to kicking in LA. He has a long of 47 in his career. This is from 46
he was
Andre Hadari.
Complaining about the LA air? Come on, can't do that.
And he goes off to the left, but a flag is down.
Offside. Number 7 of the defense. 4th down will be repeated after a 5-yard penalty.
Remember, it was 4th and 12. So that just brings them up to a 4th and 7. So the kicking team remains on there.
But remember, that was a missed field goal. So now that penalty gives USC another shot at 3 points. This is the kind of issue we've seen with Arizona State over the years. We saw it earlier this season against Missouri, a lot of penalties in that ball game, and a lot last year as well. And the year before that, they sometimes hurt themselves with ill-advised penalties.
So Hadari gets that practice kick out of the way thanks to the flag, and now this from 41. And he takes advantage of the second chance. 41-yard field goal for the freshman Andre Hadari. Kiffin gives his approval. Probably noticed a whole new look for Arizona State. They've been rebranded, and they have 4 different helmets: the black, gold, the white, and tonight the maroon, the all maroon for the first time ever. We were here for the blackout against Missouri. That worked out well.
I thought that all black was pretty cool. I like that. I like that better than the all maroon.
And you see that the pitchfork is the new logo. Sparky, the mascot, still a part of the athletic department, but the pitchfork on the side of the helmets now. Got a 7-3 game. Arizona State up early on number 23, the 3-0 USC Trojans.
This crowd has been worked up all week. They haven't beaten USC in a long time.
11 straight for USC. Haven't lost to Arizona State since '99. Shad Ross and Kyle Middlebrooks back to field. Hadari's kickoff. He just booted the 41-yard field goal. And a big boot for the touchback. Let's check in with Reese.
Bill, and let you know what's going on all over the place. Oregon and Arizona are playing on ESPN2. Ducks already up 14-0, and David Roberts just dropped a sure touchdown pass for Arizona. On ABC, LSU is on top of West Virginia 27-14, getting late in the third right now. West Virginia has shown some life here in the third period.
Now, Reese, you saw it firsthand. Rod, Tyrann Mathieu, those defensive backs for LSU. I think Mathieu may be one of the most dynamic players in all of college football.
Without a doubt. He's certainly the best player on defense under 6 feet tall.
There's Cameron Marshall, and he is upended that time by Bailey, but good hard run by Marshall.
You know, Osweiler, like a lot of young quarterbacks, has been up and down. He had a great start to the season. Look what he did against Missouri. He was lights out. Last week, not so good.
2nd and 5, and a quick toss out to Miles, and Miles breaks free. Oh, but was he met by T.J. McDonald? That was like a brick wall. And the flag does come in.
They're getting him with a flagrant hit because he went for the head. Anytime you go above the numbers, you will be flagged. The officials have consistently said that.
Personal foul. Contact above the shoulders. Number 7 in the defense. 15-yard penalty. First down.
This is targeting.
Oh, his feet went out from under him.
Yeah, he got all of it.
Watch Jamal Miles' feet.
You got every bit of him. But when you lead with that shoulder above the numbers, that's a flagrant call, automatic.
So 18 yards plus another 15 and a first down at the 42. And a quick one that time. A minimal gain there. Hey, the chase continues this weekend. Sylvania 300 at New Hampshire. Coverage begins tomorrow at 1 Eastern on ESPN with NASCAR Countdown presented by Napa.
Tony Stewart was pretty excited about that opening win. Not a bad job. Surprising, but not a bad job.
2nd and 8 after the catch by Pflugrad. Oh, that was a bobbled snap. And Osweiler just has to dive on it all the way back at the 46.
Smart play, though, jumping on the ball. We've seen quarterbacks this year try and pick a ball up like that and then do something with it. Best thing you can do is simply jump on that ball and come play the next play.
So it backs him up to a 3rd and 14.
They'll probably throw into the teeth of that Tampa 2 zone. 2 deep safeties and a linebacker or defensive back like a safety running deep down the middle if anybody tries to go vertical.
Play clock down to 1. And he gets it complete to Willie, who spins but will be well short of what would have been that line to make as Willie gets it to the 37.
This is an interesting decision for Dennis Erickson.
That no man's land?
Exactly. You're about 4 or 5 yards away from a first down. You're probably just beyond field goal range. And if you punt it now, there's a chance you don't get anything out of it because you'll probably kick it in the end zone.
Alex Garout, their place kicker, has a career long of 49. So obviously this is well beyond what he's capable of it. So they go for it on 4th and 5. While we're checking at the line.
He's got Miles in a mismatch at the bottom.
And instead they're going to have to burn a timeout here. Our Dr. Pepper conference update. A look at the Pac-12 happenings.
Well, Utah and Colorado joined the conference. Split this thing up into a North and South division to handle 12 teams. There will be a championship game.
And this game's going to have a big impact on who represents the South. USC can't get there because of the NCAA probation.
We had Commissioner Larry Scott with us a couple of weeks ago, and he made it clear that the Pac-12 was comfortable with 12 teams and not exactly looking forward to expanding. Didn't feel that was necessary, considering that they had some great contracts set up on the television front.
Of course, that was the big headline this week. As the Pac-12 made the decision to stay put at 12. Listen, they got a great TV deal. They've got the perfect alignment they're looking for. What did you make of it, Rod?
Well, I'm not surprised. I thought they would look at it because Larry Scott looked at it last season. But given the deal that they got, I can see why 12 teams don't want to divide the money up to 14 or 16.
And now the punt team comes on after they took the timeout. And it goes harmlessly in for a touchback. Of course, there was all the talk of Oklahoma and Oklahoma State and the two Texas schools. And then you started hearing that some of the administrators and some of the presidents in the Pac-12 weren't necessarily comfortable with it, that Larry Scott, maybe he wanted to go forward, but he didn't necessarily have the votes to go forward.
Well, but I think that's appropriate. I think the presidents need to have a bigger role in what's going on, a bigger say, and I think part of the problem is they've had their hands off for a while, not just the Pac-12, but across college football, and you don't have anyone in charge, and you have just chaos out there. So I think it's a good thing that they're taking some responsibility and stepping in and saying, wait a minute, there are a lot of reasons not to go to 16.
USC back to offense with Mark Tyler as the lone back. Play action now. Barkley, and he is able to connect that time to Brandon Carswell, who is drilled out by Osahan Irabor.
Well, Barkley, lighter, a little bit more athletic, better throwing on the move. Good footwork. Had his balance underneath him, able to throw a strike. It's part of the improvement we see in his game. They're not afraid to roll him out.
Travel remains the feature back on 2nd and 3. Now they shift the fullback here. And a flag comes in, as does a big dust storm from the end zone. Look at everything blowing around the stadium all of a sudden.
Wow.
False start. Number 75 of the offense. 5-yard penalty, second down.
Well, Tess, that impacts your play selection, too. I mean, you can't throw the ball down the field into the teeth of that. It just came up out of nowhere.
This is like Dorothy and Toto are ready to come into Sun Devil Stadium. There is stuff flying everywhere all of a sudden.
I don't care how strong your arm is. You can't throw deep into that thing. Where are we? Arizona or Kansas?
No, we're not in Kansas anymore. 2nd and 8. Empty with this dust storm brewing up. Pressure, and they got to him. Big Bill Moose brings down Matt Barkley.
Well, Barkley did not get rid of it. A 3-step drop. He wanted Woods. That's his favorite target, and he double-clutched trying to wait for Woods, but Woods is covered right there. That's where he wanted to go. He double-clutched and held onto the ball. Right now, he's looking, and he double-clutches. 2-8. Moose is all over him.
And the wind is whipping more and more here. You got napkins and debris flying throughout Sun Devil Stadium. 3rd and 14. Need to get to the 30. Tyler unable to break through that initial line of defenders. It was Vontez Burfict and Corey Adams finding Mark Tyler.
And that's the maturation of Lane Kiffin as a head coach. You know, as an offensive coordinator, he might have been a guy who was willing to just go ahead and throw the ball down the field and see what would happen. But now he's playing offense, defense, and being careful. Now they got to kick into this thing.
Yeah, I wonder what's going to happen with this ball.
Well, you got to keep it low.
I mean, the winds are swirling in every which way right now. Miles back to return. A low line driver. And here goes Miles. And he gets just short of midfield. That's how you have to do it if you're the punter. It's like playing a links course at the British Open. 7-3. Arizona State on top. Well, moments ago, they rushed out onto the field, and Cameron Marshall just carried the ball for no gain. And that is the end of the first quarter, as a little desert storm has started up here in Tempe. Hometown team up 4. Joe Tessitore, Rod Gilmore, and Shelley Smith, glad you're with us here at Sun Devil Stadium. Arizona State up 7-3 on number 23 USC. So Cameron Marshall's 70-yard touchdown run to get the night started for Coach Erickson's squad.
On a bad ankle, no less.
Yeah, sprained ankle. We didn't think he was even going to see playing time. 2nd and 11 now for Osweiler. Pressure, he steps up, gets it, incomplete, right off the hands of Robinson. Let's check in with Reese again.
Joe, West Virginia had fought back, gotten back in the game against LSU. It's 27-21 after a Mountaineer touchdown and the kickoff to Morris Claiborne. And Morris finds an alley. Then he runs through a Mountaineer. And then he is off to the races. LSU back on fire in Morgantown, 34-21 after 3.
Thanks, Reese. 3rd and 11, and they pick up the first time. This time, Robinson does hold on to it. Flag came down.
Another flag. But you know, Osweiler is growing up. He stood in there and was willing to take the hit. Last week against Illinois, he kind of shied away from the pressure a little bit and had 6 sacks.
Personal foul. Unnecessary roughness. Number 7 of the defense. 15-yard penalty. First down.
I guess T.J. McDonald didn't learn his lesson.
Well, we talked about how he can impact the game. But first, let's go back and take a look at Osweiler. He hangs in there on this thing. He knows he's going to get hit. That's much better than last week. And then McDonald on the other end, already 1 hit, and then a second one. That one's not as bad as the first one because you got Robinson with his head going down anyway. I'm not so sure about that one.
Miles is the back with Osweiler. Here's Frubrad. Fumbles the ball. And Willie was there to jump right on it. The senior receiver, Mike Willie, looks like he's on top of that ball at the bottom of that pile, and he is. Aaron Frubrad, who had that memorable night against Mizzou, 8 receptions, 180 yards, and a couple touchdowns. As you see, Mike Willie, last man to get up. Torrin Harris, the USC cornerback, came in and caused that fumble.
He's going to bring up a 2nd down and short, it looks like. Lots of options for Osweiler here.
Marshall is in the backfield with him. And he gets the call. First down, and lowers the pads and gets it all the way down to the 5-yard line where he was met by McDonald and Harris.
Well, Marshall is a big back. He's almost 225 pounds, about 5'11". You saw his speed earlier, but watch him finish this run. He knows it's a short yardage situation, lowers the shoulder. That's big stuff. Taking on Harris out there, finish that run.
Earns them the 1st and goal. Bunch receivers to the far side. Marshall gets the call again. And the ball came loose at the end of that run. And USC has it. I think they're going to take a look at this one, but he coughed it up on 1st and goal, and USC jumped on it. That was George Uko.
Yeah,
Uko with the recovery
got on top of it. Well, they'll be looking to see, was his knee down when the ball came out, and it looked like his right knee hit the ground before the ball came out.
Watch that knee of Marshall.
Yeah, you look right there, knees down, ball's in out. And USC should try and hurry up and get that play run.
Jim Northcott from the Pac-12 is our replay official. Yep. Remember, the call on the field is a fumble recovered by USC, so they need indisputable evidence that says otherwise.
Well, Tess, if you want to look closely, there's the knee right there. Knee is down, ball is in the hand. That's what they're looking at. They're going to turn this one over. They've got...
Well, let me offer up a question for you, Rob, because they take that word indisputable very serious. And in that shot we saw right there, there was the leg of a USC defender that was in the frame that didn't fully show us the knee. I think you can clearly make the assumption of the knee down, but Just take another look here. Maybe it's the same look they just showed us.
Counselor,
well, here's a different look.
Counselor, good argument, but you're not going to win the day. Yeah, there you go. That's down, and the ball is in. It was a very good try. I'm going to give you points for that.
Well, listen, I know,
but it's not going to win the day.
We've seen the way these guys operate, and they have to have 100% no doubt proof to overturn it. That's how the rule is written.
I think that was
that
clear.
View that they just showed is clear that the knee was down.
Yeah.
Of course, first and goal. This is an opportunity that Arizona State cannot afford to miss out on. The way things have gone in recent years, the way things have gone in this series with USC. They've had so many close calls during the 11 games that they've lost consecutively to them.
Well, and they've got a huge crowd, a sellout crowd that they want to keep involved in the game.
Here's another look at what was ruled a fumble by Cameron Marshall, but watch the knee.
Yeah, he's down, knee and hand down, and then ball comes out.
After further review, it was determined that the runner's knee was down prior to the loss of possession of the Arizona State's ball, second down at the 5-yard line.
And then Kiffin saw that one coming.
You know, with the new rule, you have your coaches up in the booth who have monitors who can see this, so I'm sure they told Kiffin what they saw and that it was going to be overturned.
Cameron Marshall stays out there. Second and goal. Miles now in motion. He's a do-it-all guy for them. Osweiler's going to try to do it himself, and he spins down to the 2-yard line where he was met by Chris Gallipo.
Aren't you surprised at how much he's running with the football?
Well, to your point earlier, he's 6'8", but body type, the way he goes about his business on the field, he plays like a smaller quarterback, a more mobile quarterback.
Highly confident. You know, a little Vinny Chase in him.
he's got the look.
Looks like him, too.
He really does. Third and goal. There's that diamond backfield that's become popular. And he's going to pass out of it. And he's got the touchdown with a flag. It'll hold up Jarrell Robinson with the score. Well, they're going to gather here and discuss which way this goes. But the coverage came from Roby.
Pass interference. Number 21 of the defense. His penalty is declined, resulting in touchdown.
It was Roby who made contact.
Roby's giving up a lot of size over there. He's only 5'8", facing a 6'4" receiver. And Robinson was able to take advantage of that.
Garrett tacks it on. And a nice cushion now for the Sun Devils. Could this be the night that they break that stretch? 11 straight for USC in this series.
Back here in Arizona, 14-3, Arizona State. Let's go back to that touchdown pass. The 5'8" Roby is trying to get his hands on the 6'4" Robinson so that he can't jump away from him. He wants to be in close to him. He gets his hands on him, but he never lets go, which is the pass interference, all for naught, because Robinson still managed to push him away and catch the ball.
Robinson had a career high 8 receptions last week and gets his team up 14-3 here against USC. Kicking to Robert Woods. And it's the short man, Jeremy Galton, who just takes a knee. Reese.
Joe Test, time for SportsCenter right now, presented by Discover Card. Number 3, Alabama beats Arkansas 38-14. Daquan Menzie deflected it to himself and had a 25-yard pick six as the Crimson Tide rolled. And Oklahoma State, Texas A&M. Oklahoma State was down 20-3 at halftime, but Brandon Weeden found Justin Blackman a couple of times, and they won it 30-29 in Kyle Field. SportsCenter after the game, college football final follows that.
How about Brandon Weeden with 438 yards today for Oklahoma State? Here's Matt Barkley. Over the middle, and it just goes low of Randall Telfer.
Well, they struggled tonight, and that was an unusually poor throw by Barkley. I don't know if that got caught in the wind for him a little bit, but that was underthrown.
And we've had this swirling wind, a dust storm of sorts that came up halfway through the first quarter. The locals would call it a haboob. And the Desert Storm whipped up, and it's still whipping around every which way here. Carlisle now. Look at Amir Carlisle. And he has a first down for the Trojans, the true freshman who they're very high on. Shelley.
Yeah, the wind is very unpredictable. It'll get real gusty, very hard to see, but then it'll die down again. So I don't know how these quarterbacks are handling this, because you just cannot predict which way it's going to go.
Yeah, Shelley, I think you're right with what we saw in that long ball to Telfer. It just dropped down at the end.
Well, she's right. It not only affects the quarterbacks, it affects the coaches and how they call their plays. I mean, they're aware of what's going on out there, too.
Carlisle remains in as the featured back here. Play action. Barkley downfield, and going up high for it was Marquise Lee. Lee's going to have a very bright future at USC.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he's a talented player. Only a freshman. Great size, great quickness, can change direction. He gets in and out of breaks really well. And you see the leaping ability there. Very, very talented. And right now, Tess, two things are conspiring against Woods. He's drawing a lot of attention, and that wind keeps them from going down the field to him.
Well, Tyler comes back in. First down. And this is Tyler. Perfect tackles him. Just a gain of 1 for Tyler. Vontez Burfict, number 7 for Arizona State. Came from a very challenging upbringing. Actually, extremely shy guy. Doesn't do a lot of interviews, but on that field, he is an emotional, dynamic, kind of one of these reckless aggressors.
Yeah, and before I get to that, I want to wish him a happy birthday.
20 years old is Vontez Burfict.
Young guy, still young, growing, and has had some issues on and off the field, but young man trying to get it straightened out, and he's struggled this season.
2nd and 8 now, I formation with Mark Tyler. Play action now. Barkley out of the backfield, and upended is Rhett Ellison. Irabor and Aaron came in and quickly found Ellison.
Well, he's throwing into the teeth of a zone coverage with his receiver out there, Ellison, and Irabor and Aaron were both there to make the hit, and that's a depleted secondary. We talk about Bowden being out and Devin Spann, their normal nickelback, also being out. So backups are stepping in and playing well.
And Bowden tore his ACL in the spring. They were counting on him this year to be big. 3rd and 7. Barkley gets it complete. Flag comes down back at the line of scrimmage, and Brandon Carswell's reception was short of the line to make as he was tackled by Irabor. That's going to be holding against the Trojans.
Yeah, I want to go back to Burfict for a minute. You know, he's got that reputation. We've got an issue there.
Holding. Number 66 of the offense. The penalty is declined. 4th down.
Now, number 66 is Marcus Martin, and that's a concern. Lane Kiffin, when he talked to us this week, he said, listen, this is our 3rd different starting left guard in 3 games.
Yeah, they've had issues at the guard spot and the center spot, which why it was so refreshing to see them run the ball so well early on here. Now we got a big 4th down here, and Kiffin trying to get something going. We'll go for it. I think, you know, at this point, this is a really risky move. You probably need to kick it away, because if you don't get this, you're setting up Arizona State with their fans.
4th and 2, trailing by 11. Barkley to pass, and he picks up the 4th down with Mr. Reliable Robert Woods.
Very gutsy call very gutsy play.
If you're going to throw it to one guy,
That's the guy.
that's the guy.
That is the guy. He still gets a lot of attention. They moved him inside this time and just had him set down in between the two guys covering that zone.
Came into the week leading the nation with 11 receptions per game. His 100th career reception, just a sophomore. First down at the 41. Mark Tyler now testing that right side. And a gain down to the 36. He was tackled by Will Sutton.
And they need Mark Tyler. They need good production out of him. He is their biggest, most consistent back who can give them 3-4 yards a pop to keep the chains moving.
Last year against Arizona State only had 12 carries, went for 119 yards.
Yeah, well, he's one of those guys that if you give him the ball a lot, he can wear on a defense.
So they converted the fourth down. Now they're trying to make the most out of this drive. 2nd and 6. And Carswell has the first down yardage. He's tackled by Carr. NFC East rivals will meet up on ESPN's Monday Night Football. You got Rex Grossman and the 2-0 Redskins against the Cowboys. Monday Night Football, 8:30 Eastern. Coverage begins at 7 Eastern with Monday Night Countdown served by Applebee's. A late flag came in that time. And it was a personal foul against Arizona State. That was against Vontez Burfict.
Well, there you go. But you know what? He gets a fair amount of those, but he's been trying to be a good guy because he got so much heat and attention about it that it affected his game. He has not played well this season because I think he was responding to people saying, oh, he's a dirty player, so he's tried to clean it up. That's not him. If I were Dennis Erickson, I'd say, you know what, go ahead and get one. I don't care. Just get back to playing the way you used to play.
Coach Erickson had Ray Lewis have a conversation with Vontez about maturing emotionally. He thought that would do him some good. So a first down now as USC gets the ball just inside the 14 after the penalty against Burfict. To the air, Woods. Just a little too much to the outside.
Well, anytime Matt Barkley finds that Woods is in single coverage, he will go to him, covered or not. And Matt Barkley realizes right away he's got single coverage out there, and if he's going to throw that ball, it's going to go to that guy.
"17 receptions to start the year. He's been red hot since then. Here they come, end around. And this time he lowers his shoulders, does Woods, for a gain of about 2. Colin Parker, a weak side linebacker, came up for the tackle.
Well, they still have the ball on the hash, and that last play, they started out using Woods to the wide field. There's a lot of room for him to work out there if they come back with a formation to let him work out there and challenge Arizona State to figure out a way to cover him. How many guys will he draw out that way?
3rd and 8, they can get a first down inside the 4. Of course, they want a little more than that.
They put him to the short field, though.
There is Woods, near side. Barkley with time to the end zone. Tipped away at the last second by Devron Carr.
That's a really good play by Carr. He was singled up, and he gave up the inside, which he didn't want to do, but then he goes underneath, and you have to go underneath once you've given up the inside, which is a cardinal sin. You cannot let the man inside. Once he did, he went underneath and made the play. Good recovery.
4th and 8. As they show the unconventional formation before they then line up, and the play clock was winding down.
Timeout, Southern California.
As they were late to get into that field goal formation. We'll see the attempt when we return. Field goal attempt coming up for USC. Rob, the guy I want you to take a look at is Vontez Burfict. Explain to the people why.
Well, he has a tendency to try and time the snap and try and beat it, and he can get caught off sides. They actually caught him off sides, USC did, earlier this week. Missouri tried to do that 2 weeks ago.
Always informing and educating. Thank you, Rod. So Hadari made from 41, this from 29. And he is able to close the gap. That time Burfict just laid off. 8-point Arizona State lead, 7:05 to the half.
ESPN's College Football Primetime. Brought to you by Foster's, Australian for beer. Drink responsibly. And Hyundai. If it's fuel efficient, affordable, stylish, and safe, it's probably a Hyundai.
These two schools battling on the field tonight with ASU up 14-6. But right off the field, ASU and USC joining forces, putting forth their best researchers in the fight against cancer. The National Cancer Institute has put forth 12 oncology centers. Two of those very prestigious centers landed at Arizona State and USC.
That is really, really cool. That's good work. That's good stuff, those programs working together, and for them to have been awarded those two spots. Nothing like that. Very important work. Cancer research.
Rashad Ross makes a decision to bring it out from the goal line. And Ross still battling, but finding it hard, coming up just short of the 20-yard line. Celebrating its 7th year sponsoring the Good Hands Field Goal Nets, Allstate makes contributions to participating universities' general scholarship funds for each field goal and extra point kicked. And to date, Allstate has contributed more than $2.4 million in scholarship monies. And you can tack on a little more with the field goal we just had by the Trojans to cut this lead to 8. Missed opportunity in the end zone as they were looking for Robert Woods, but a good defensive play by Devron Carr made for the field goal attempt, and now Brock Osweiler and the Sun Devils get their chance to respond. Osweiler, pressure came, and it got to him. And that was Deion Bailey with the sack. Here's Reese.
Missouri, but the Sooners have been in control pretty much ever since. Landry Jones to Ryan Broyles. Those two hook up often, and they have 3 times tonight. Look at Broyles' numbers. 13 for $154. Sooners by 17 late.
Just a minimal gain that time by Cameron Marshall. There are so many good receivers in college football. You see Broyles, and tonight we got Woods.
What stood out to you today? Performances, receivers or otherwise?
Oklahoma State, undoubtedly. I thought it was a thrilling game against Texas A&M, and Brandon Whedon, 47 completions out of 60 attempts. That was what just dropped my jaw today.
How about Temple over Maryland? That got me.
Stunner there. 38-7, Temple on top. 3rd and 12 now. Escapes the rush, goes cross-field and completes it. A flag came down, but he was able to complete it to Jarrell Robinson. We'll see if we get the holding call here as the pressure came from Chris Gallipo.
Legal block in the back. Number 70 of the offense, 10-yard penalty, 3rd down.
Mike Marcise, the 300-pound starting left guard for ASU.
I don't think that would have picked up the 1st down. Good move to move Arizona State back here. That'll give them a 3rd and more than
Correction,
forever.
the penalty enforcement is half the distance to the goal.
Yeah, now it's more than. We'll see Marcise, 70. He's in the middle of your screen, and see the hold he has right there. And watch him with the takedown. Got a takedown there, and that's the flag.
Third and 21 now. Oh, what a dangerous pass, but they do get it to Miles, and Miles with a burst out to the 14-yard line.
Great pursuit by the USC defense. This sets up a 4th down punt that will give USC the ball back around midfield, assuming the kick doesn't get blocked and nothing else strange happens. And that'll set them up with a chance to continue that little bit of flow they had the last time before they stalled out trying to get into the end zone.
So Josh Hubner once again punting from his end zone. Nickel Roby sets up shop as the return man at the 45. Roby comes to the near side, gets a good block, and has a fine return. Down the sideline, man the beat, cuts back against the grain, all the way down to the 14-yard line. Roby, you were saying they would have good field position. They have great field position.
Well, you know, Roby's job was to make a guy miss and then get to the fence. He made a guy miss. Now the fence, the wall is set up to the inside. A bunch of white shirts with all the red shirts inside. That's the wall. He got to the wall because he made the first guy miss. An excellent return, excellent blocking by the USC specials teams.
44-yard punt return. And now the short field for Matt Barkley and the Trojans offense. Tyler surges ahead for just 2 yards, but he was met at the line of scrimmage by Big Will Sutton.
You know, Tess, after that last drive, Woods and Barkley were talking on the sideline, and Woods kept saying, or at least motioning, throw the ball higher to me, further towards the back of the end zone.
Well, last time they were here in this prime scoring zone, it was undercut and batted away. 2nd and 9 now.
Woods is up to the right side.
They bring pressure against Barkley. Oh, and it's intercepted by Burfict. Vontez Burfict. Big time play crossing midfield. The All-American candidate with the interception of Matt Barkley inside the 10.
He did a great job. You'll see him top of the screen. His role there was to play the underneath zone. He saw the pressure. He was to the side of Robert Woods. One of the things that they're doing against Robert Woods is bringing zone underneath him when they can. And how about the end of that? These two guys went at it in high school. Barkley called him a dirty player this week. And how about Burfict coming over, helping him up and patting him on the back?
Great sportsmanship shown there. After all the chatter this week, and Cameron Marshall now hard running to the far side. Remember what Matt Barkley said about Vontez Burfict. We showed you this earlier. He said he's a dirty player. His switch is always on, and it's not a good switch.
Well, there was nothing dirty about that, and that switch moved over to the good sportsmanship.
Show the respect from both guys. By the way, Matt Barkley is as good of a guy as there is, and in some ways he's complimenting Burfict with what he says with his switch is always on. He knows he's got that motor and that passion for the game. And now they swing it out to Miles. And a first down for the Sun Devils. So what a turnaround here. USC going one way, looking like they're going to score after the big punt return. And Burfict with the interception, and now the ASU offense driving.
Well, it's tough on the USC defense. That is a sudden change. You are on the sideline, and you're expecting your offense to do something. All of a sudden, grab your helmet, get on the field. You have to be emotionally ready to handle that situation. Right now, the USC defense isn't.
Kyle Middlebrooks, the back now with Osweiler on this first down. And they swing it out to Middlebrooks. Blockers in front, a burst of speed. He runs over a guy inside the 20. He just flattened T.J. McDonald.
They had the right call against the USC pressure. USC brings the blitz inside. They throw the screen to the outside. Finkenberg, 62 out, leading the way for Middlebrooks.
Remember that hit McDonald put on earlier?
You're saying that was payback?
First down. And another good run by Middlebrooks as he's down to the 12-yard line.
I tell you, Tess, to me, this is not being emotionally ready to get on the field in a sudden change situation. Arizona State just going down the field and snapping the ball quickly, taking advantage of it.
Look at that play clock. They're lined up already at 27, snapping at 26. And that was low, intended for Jamal Miles.
That's a good point. They knew they had USC's defense reeling, and they just pushed the pedal to the floor. They kept going quickly, not giving them a chance to gather their thoughts and their wits about them. Great call, great decision-making by Dennis Erickson and his offensive coordinator, Noel Mazzone.
Noel Mazzone, who likes to change the tempo and now needs to come up with something on 3rd and 3. Cameron Marshall is the back with Osweiler here. He's the inside runner. Osweiler with plenty of time. Here is Marshall. And it's going to be close to that first down line as Anthony Brown came in to try to hold him short. It'll depend on the mark, and it looks like they're putting the ball right on it. We'll see.
Good finishing run by Marshall. Osweiler gave that ball to him about 4 yards, 3 yards behind the first down marker.
And it is a 1st and goal. Vontez Burfict has set them up. And now we'll see if the offense can cash in. Burfict had the interception return when USC was looking to strike. Straight up the middle for Cameron Marshall down to the 4-yard line.
They're just spreading them out and then running inside, making sure that USC pays attention to the wide receivers. They put 4 guys out wide and then come running right back inside on them.
Second and goal. Here's Miles. Touchdown, Sun Devils. Osweiler's second touchdown pass of the night. And Garut makes it 21-6.
Let's not forget, Tess, this was all set up by Burfict's pick down in the red zone, which followed this great drive being set up with the pass to the outside to Miles to get the touchdown.
Vontez is loving that. 21-6 Sun Devils on top. Alongside Rod Gilmore and Shelley Smith, I'm Joe Tessitore. Arizona State up 21-6 on 3-0 USC. Sunday NFL Countdown presented by IBM on ESPN tomorrow at 10 a.m. Eastern. Chris Sperman, Tom Jackson, entire gang going to get you set for a big day in the NFL. And on ESPN2, and this is where you want to be now with the new lineup, the extended NFL coverage. ESPN2's got Outside the Lines, the Sports Reporter, Sports Center, and Fantasy Football Now. All the shows that you loved on Sunday morning over on ESPN2 during the NFL season. Whistle comes in here.
The ball was not ready for play. We will re-kick.
Well, I'm sure the ball was ready, but I think the officials may not have been ready. The ball didn't have an issue with playing football at that moment.
Way to coach him up.
Lane Kiffin probably needs to coach up his team pretty solid at halftime.
You know, actually, they haven't been bad on offense. They just struggled in the scoring zone and in the red zone. They've had mistakes. They haven't taken advantage of opportunities when they've been in position to score. That's been their issue. It's not that they can't run the ball or that they can't throw it.
And that number 7 throwing to the other number 7, Vontez Burfict, the star linebacker in Arizona State. That was the swing play of this first half. Another short kick, and the up man gets it. What's up, Reese?
Well, Joe, coming up at halftime, the Wendy's halftime report, LSU showing why they're better on the road than Jack Kerouac. Oklahoma had a little bit of a test, but the Sooners took care of business. And Yabo Dabo Do. Dabo Swinney does it again. Now, tell me, Joe, is the ball ready to be snapped now?
The ball looks like it is prepared to be in play, Reese.
It's had enough rest.
It is well rested. Yabo Dabo. Taj Boyd had 3 touchdowns today for Clemson. That was impressive.
Not a bad little receiver working with him.
Sammy Watkins? How about that freshman? Can he fly or what? So Barkley out of the gun now. Just over 2 minutes to play. And he gets it complete this time to his back Amir Carlisle. You asked me earlier what was I most impressed with today in college football.
Yep.
I was most impressed with Bob Davie calling a game at noon and then flying over to be with us here for the nightcap. Hello, Coach.
You're my man, Joe. I'm gonna hire you as my agent. Keep talking.
What do you make of this one?
You know, I think Matt Barkley struggled a little bit. I mean, USC had some scoring opportunities. He hasn't been real accurate. The other thing that jumps out to me, and Rod will appreciate this and understand this, having been around USC so much. I remember 3 or 4 years ago, I stood on this sidelines here in Sun Devil Stadium on the USC sidelines. I mean, it's a totally different atmosphere with Lane Kiffin in charge. And I'm not saying that negatively at all, but you remember when Pete Carroll was the head coach, Rod? I mean, these guys jumped up and down. I mean, from the moment they came out of the locker room, just played unbelievably emotional. It's not the same atmosphere. I mean, they seem a little flat to me right now, this USC team. But I think if Matt Barkley can settle down, you know he's going to heat up a little bit as this game progresses. I still think they're going to put some points on the board.
The delay in the action for a moment there was because Amir Carlisle was slow to get up for USC.
Well, I think you're right, Coach. I think Barkley has had his struggles down inside the 30 and inside the red zone. He has not been accurate there, but they have opportunities out there.
2nd and 6. He lofts it downfield. Woods is wide open. A flat-out sprint inside the 20, but the dangerous Robert Woods gets to that ASU defense that time.
Well, they lost track of him, and you can't figure out how that happens because they've been rolling coverages towards him the entire time. This time, he was supposed to get bumped by the up-back Parker. Parker didn't get a glove on him, never hit him, and Woods had too much speed and just blew by the safety.
57-yard reception by Robert Woods, and now USC is right back where they were.
Well, this is where they've had issues.
Tyler stacked up. Vontez Perfect and Bo Moose and Corey Adams on top of Mark Tyler.
Well, we talked about Barkley being a better quarterback this year, and at times he was short, but he kind of short arms this one, but puts enough air underneath it to let his receiver Woods run underneath it. He knew he had him out there by himself and didn't want to overthrow him.
Backs him up to a 2nd and 12. Pumps once to the corner. And Marquise Lee was looking around. Yerebor had coverage, so it'll make for a 3rd and 12 now.
I give some credit to the Arizona State defense down here, and Coach Davey, you may see this down there. They've mixed up their coverages down there. They've played some man down there, and they've gone zone. They've doubled Woods sometimes.
Red Zone is brought to you by Verizon. A look at how USC has done there.
Big 3rd down here.
0 for 5 on 3rd down. The Trojans, 3rd and 12. Need to get to the 4-yard line. Trying to get it to Randall Telfer. He was covered by Colin Parker.
Well, and I'm surprised they didn't try and go to Barkley. I'm trying to go to Woods. They had Woods one-on-one with Carr to the bottom, and Carr did such a great job there, and there wasn't enough time. Barkley never looked his way.
So once again, Andre Hadari trots out there. He's made from 41 and 29. This from 33. And Hadari puts it through. But Rod, you've talked about this many times. As tension builds a bit in the hot night in the desert. Well, you've talked about this many times. When you discuss success in the red zone, and this is where I disagree with the NCAA record book.
Right.
Success is not getting threes in the red zone.
No, that doesn't work. When you get inside the 20, you have got to get touchdowns. You know, Bill Walsh used to teach all his coaches and players about this. Bill was crazy about it. He wanted an 80%. That's pretty tough for college. You've got to get around 70, 75% to be good. And kicking field goals is not it. You need touchdowns. 70 to 75% of the time, you got to get touchdowns when you get down there.
Instead, settling for field goals are the Trojans.
You see they've scored touchdowns on 63% of their possessions. Not a single one tonight And inside the red zone, I think they've been down there 3 times or so, 3 or 4 times. They haven't scored a single touchdown and only come away with field goals.
Arizona State has been searching for a long time for a win against the Trojans. That decade of dominance has really bitten ASU. Of course, Jamal Miles is a very dangerous return man. Opening week, he had a 98-yarder. The fastest players on a really fast team. Here is Miles from the 1. Gets past the first man and then tries to cut back against the grain, and he's taken down at the 27.
You know, Tess, that Arizona State defense doesn't get a lot of credit. They're down a few men, but they've been playing lights out. They've put some pressure on Barkley when necessary. Bo Moose that time. They've been really, really good down inside the red zone. And, of course, there was the big pick by Perfect that stopped USC from getting a touchdown and set up Arizona State for a touchdown of their own, and a little bit of sportsmanship between he and Barkley.
That was really the swing moment of this first half when USC looked like they were going to potentially tie the game, and instead ASU increased their lead. Quickly, Mike Willie. And Willie is blasted at the 30. So Coach Davey, just as we were talking to you, they went deep to Robert Woods and had to settle for the field goal.
Yeah, I think what you noticed, Joe, just standing down here, Arizona State's tailbacks, their running backs, look so much faster than USC's. You just wonder, USC, can they get a big play out of the running game? It looks like it's all pass for USC to try to get big plays. You don't notice any running game with any breakaway threat. That's probably why they've struggled in the red zone so much.
Agreed.
There's really no running game right now for the Trojans.
Bob, we enjoyed visiting with you.
All right, Joe, Rod, always good visiting with you guys.
2 games in one day for Coach Davey. Let's head down to the field to Shelley Smith.
Lane, what do you need to do better in the second half?
Well, definitely red zone offense. You know, we go down there and kick field goals and turn one away. You know, Vontez made a great play on that. Just kind of went on his own outside and made a great play.
How do you get Matt on track?
He's fine. You know, he finished the series good there, and so, you know, we just got to get back. We got to find a way to run the ball a little bit. They're doing a hell of a job up front.
Great. Thanks, Lane.
21-9. USC in a hole. Perfect had the big play. Now let's get to Reese Davis in the studio for the Wendy's halftime report. Reese. In hotels. Number 23's in a hole. Arizona State up 21-9. Joe Tessitore and Rod Gilmore with you. Rod, talk about the red zone so much. 3 times USC got it into the red zone. Arizona State, they come away with 2 field goals and they threw an interception.
Well, you know, we've seen Barkley struggle like he hasn't struggled all season, and most of last year he was really, really good. But things were a little tough early on, got some pressure, got knocked around. Then we had a windstorm that affected things. But then in the red zone, missed on Woods in the corner of the end zone, then comes back again, and he found the wrong guy. This time it's Perfect who picks this off and sets up Arizona State for their own touchdown. Just no productivity in the red zone, 3 field goals, and you can't win like that. You take a look at the quarterback comparison. Osweiler, who had the bad week last week, has managed the game very well. 13 of 15, no turnovers. Barkley, not quite the same. The big turnover, the pick by Perfect.
That was huge, wasn't it?
Oh,
what
that
a
was the
swing
play
that was, as USC was looking to close in and potentially tie this game, and now Arizona State is hoping they can finally break through against the Trojans. USC has won 11 straight against ASU. Curtis McNeil on the return. And McNeil out to the 34. Let's check in with Shelley Smith. Shelley?
Dennis Erickson told me that even though Lane Kiffin says he's going to try to establish a run, he expects the Trojans to pass the ball like crazy and throw long. As to what his team is doing well, Erickson smiled and said, we're playing hard.
Well, Shelley, you had a report earlier talking about the wind here and the effect that was having on Matt Barkley and the conditions. Guys. Things have settled down now.
Well, I think that's right. I think they will run the ball, but not traditionally. I think they're going to throw the ball to the backs out of the backfield.
Mark Tyler will start as the back here in the I formation in the second half. Play action, and Barkley gets it complete to Marquise Lee. And Lee is out to the 47 for a first down. He was tackled by Clint Floyd.
You know, Bob Davie mentioned in the first half the lack of a breakaway threat in the backfield for USC. But they're relying on their outside receivers to provide the breakaway aspect. You know, Woods and Lee, those are the guys that give the big plays. And the running game really has been the backs out of the backfield in prior games.
Barkley three-step drop, and this is complete to Bryce Butler, a big 6'4" junior from Georgia.
What do you think about this defense that's lost so many starters?
Five would-be starters, not there.
These guys aren't playing like backups, though.
No, they're not. Burfict is playing like the All-American that many say he will be at the end of this season. He's been down on many tackles and had the play of the first half, and guys like Sutton and Moose on the inside have been pesky against that front line of USC. 2nd and 3. There's the quick hitch there, and Woods has the first down as he muscles his way to the 40 right over Devron Carr and Clint Floyd.
You mentioned Burfict, and I think one of the good things that happened to him is you see Woods in a one-on-one situation. Good tackle out there by Carr, who's having a good night. Burfict getting that personal foul, I think was good for him. It got him back to being the guy that he is instead of trying to please everybody. So what? He got a 15-yard penalty, but he was playing the way that they want him to play, which he hadn't been doing for 2 games.
Dylan Baxter now in the game as the running back for USC. Much heralded recruit from a year and a half ago, and here is Baxter on the pitch. Gets a big block from Matt Khalil, but doesn't make anything of it as that hole was filled by Shelly Lyons.
Yeah, Shelly Lyons really showed some speed in getting out to the edge and turning that thing back inside. Well, we talked about Burfict being an aggressive player. Well, look at that. He got poked in the eye by Martinez, who then pushed him down.
Well, during the week, they were practicing with a scout team player who was acting like Burfict, getting in the face of offensive players, being reckless, pushing guys around, and many USC players were outspoken this week to the press about Burfict and maybe taking a shot at him. Barkley now takes a shot downfield and connects with who else but Robert Woods. A first down for the Trojans.
Great protection allows Robert Woods to find some seams and holes in the zone. He's able to run in between. You see all the attention he's getting. They had 2 guys short around him and a guy deep, and he found that soft spot and settled in, and Barkley had enough time to get the ball to him.
Empty backfield on first down here at the 24. Barkley sprinting to the far side, lofts it to the end zone. Diving catch, Marquise Lee, touchdown USC.
Well, you just knew Barkley was going to start to heat up. A little half roll, and he puts air underneath this ball. He hadn't done that earlier, and a great job by Lee getting his knees down, but laying out for that ball. He beat the single coverage over there, and Barkley found it.
So all that talk of Barkley struggling in the first half, just 10 of 17 and an interception. How about this beauty on the opening drive of the second half? We got ourselves a ball game in the desert. Matt Barkley was focused coming out of the locker room for this second half. 5 for 5, 67 yards, and a beautifully lofted ball to Lee for the touchdown.
See how they handled that red zone deal? They decided simply to not get into the red zone, throw it outside of it. You take a look at the Pac-12 South Division, you see how big this game is. USC beat Utah earlier to put them at 0-1. USC is ineligible for postseason play. Arizona State considered by many to be the favorite in the South. And UCLA got a win today after getting off to a rocky start. still in contention, but I think most experts believe it's Arizona State, Utah, and what will USC do?
Jamal Miles from the end zone. And Miles is taken down at about the 25 by Ryan Henderson. So Brock Osweiler, the junior from Montana, who had that dynamic overtime thriller against Missouri and then really came up short with mistakes last week on the road against Illinois, had himself a well-managed first half, but now he's going opposite, trying to duel with Matt Barkley, who seems to be back in gear. We'll see what he offers. His first pass of the second half, he's going to tuck it and run stiff arm, and then takes that 6'8" frame and leans it forward.
What is that, the fourth or fifth time we've seen him tuck it and run?
He's willing to do that.
Yeah, well, and it's helping him out because he's not forcing the football. He's done that a couple times last week and got sacked a couple times last week, 6 in fact. But this time when he doesn't see something, he's throwing it away or he's taking off with the football.
2nd and 6. Over the middle, and he gets it complete this time to A.J. Pickens out to midfield.
Arizona State has a bevy of quick receivers who can change direction, and they are giving USC some fits inside as Pickens, about 5'10", 176, made his move to get inside.
And here's that change of pace, snapping the ball with 23 on the play clock. Cameron Marshall trying to fight for yardage, just a gain of 2 that time. Remember, Marshall started the evening with a 70-yard touchdown run, and there were doubts as to whether he would even be able to go as he sprained his ankle last week against the Illini. It's been a really hot day, 105 before kickoff. See how the players are affected as the night goes on. And that is into the ground in front of Fugrad. So that'll make for a 3rd and 8 for Arizona State.
Yeah, Fugrad has been relatively quiet tonight. And this is a big 3rd down for Arizona State. You want to get something done when you come out in the 3rd quarter. And now where's the matchup? Where's Mike Willie, 6'4", working against smaller corners up top of the screen, looks like.
Get to the 40. They only rush 3. And that is incomplete. That was coverage coming over the top that time was Jawanza Starling.
Very good play.
He timed that well, didn't he, Rod?
Perfectly. Perfect job with that. Osweiler wanted to go to the left side to Mike Willie. And by the time he came back around, Starling read his eyes perfectly and broke on the football. It's an excellent play.
Remember, Roby had a good punt return in the first half. Now Hubner on to punt to him again here. And he's going to let this big boot bounce into the end zone. So Matt Barkley will be back to business. Remember, 5 for 5 and a touchdown pass on the last drive. Welcome back to ESPN's College, presented by Hampton Hotels. USC had the touchdown pass to start this second half to Marquise Lee to cut this lead to 5.
Well, he's pretty sharp on that last drive, coming right out, finding Lee right away to get things going for himself. And when he had to raise up and fire to Woods, that worked out pretty well. And then the big throw was the nice touch he had on the touchdown pass to Lee after coming back, hitting Woods for a short gainer. This is a throw that just really made you go, okay, he's back. Perfect location.
And now they're back with the ball. Play action for Barkley. He's going to crank it up again, and he has it complete to Bryce Butler. And Barkley has now put himself into stride, hasn't he?
Yeah, the thing he does is he gives the receiver the chance to do something with the ball. He puts it on the money so he can change direction or continue in stride. That's why he's such a highly rated quarterback.
Perfect 6 for 6 here in the second half.
Our Todd McShay has him listed 3rd behind Andrew Luck and Landry Jones if he should come out next year for the NFL draft.
Landry Jones had a big night against Missouri for the #1 Sooners. Tyler tests the middle of that Arizona State defense and a good hard run out to the 41. He was tackled by Davon Coleman and Shelley Lyons. He'll make for a 2nd and 4. Tyler, of course, was suspended for the first game. Made those inappropriate comments this summer that made headlines. A little TMZ action got him in trouble. But he's been very productive since his comeback. Here he is again on 2nd and 4. And a good move to pick up the first down and out to midfield before he's met by Eddie Elder.
Well, maybe they found a rhythm that helps this offensive line. Throw it on first down, give yourself a chance on 2nd down with cross block over there and picking his way through Tyler. So now, Tess, you go back to that routine, throwing it on first down, trying to set up that 2nd and short. It's worked so far in this second half.
Tyler having success. He'll draw those linebackers in and create some play action opportunities. I formation here. Now the pass on first down, pressure, but he lets it go. And it's just out of the range of Marquise Lee, who started to gain some ground on Irabor.
Yeah, Lee got away with a little bit of a push-off there. But Barkley had plenty of time in the pocket. Watch his presence. He is at the top of his drop and manages to get that out, but takes a hit from Jarrett at the last second. It looked like Barkley there, didn't exactly step into that throw, and it actually wasn't on target.
No, it's straight out to the right, out of bounds. 2nd and 10 now. Tyler the lone back. Big hole, big run, and here he goes. Tyler cuts back. And the Trojans are on the march to the 24-yard line, a 26-yard run by Mark Tyler.
Somewhat like his dad, Wendell Tyler, although Wendell a little shiftier, probably not quite as big. I think Wendell would say he was a little bit faster.
Of course, he went on to NFL success.
Rams and 49ers after UCLA.
Look at the time Barkley has. But just floats it out beyond the end zone. Dennis Erickson just 1-8 against USC, covering 3 different Pac-12 schools. Got the 1 win back in 2000 when he was with Oregon State.
And a fair amount of pressure on him coming into this season. It's too bad that he's had so many injuries with this team. He felt he had a really, really good and deep team coming into the season.
A lot of folks did. The Arizona State was one of the trendy picks before all the injuries. Still a chance to have a big year. Tyler on 2nd and 10, and he muscles his way for another first down for the Trojans.
That much maligned inside area of the offensive line is doing a pretty good job. Martin and Holmes inside. You see big old 66 of the true freshman Marcus Martin doing a decent job in there. And then Holmes, 7'8", helping out. They got a lot of grief because the running attack wasn't up to par the last couple weeks. But this last couple of drives, they've done a really good job.
And a timeout is used by the Trojans.
Clock was running down. Play clock was about to expire.
This will be a 30-second.
Monday Night Football, 8:30 Eastern Redskins, Cowboys. Redskins off to a good start at 2-0. Tony Romo, is banged up a week ago. They expect him to go. Coverage begins at 7 Eastern with Monday Night Countdown served by Applebee's.
I think there's some friendly wagers going on teams in the NFL. Some guys that'll be playing on Monday night. Cowboys and Redskins, guys who went to USC and Arizona State.
Committing to the run here with Mark Tyler on this last drive by USC. In the first half, he had 11 carries for 26 yards for Lane Kiffin's squad. This drive alone, 4 carries for 52 yards.
A little easier to commit to the run when you're actually getting yardage.
That's right. It's working, so you stay with it.
Well, really, those guys up front, particularly Marcus Martin, the left guard, doing a really nice job the last couple of drives.
And now Mark Tyler is lined up for the direct snap after the timeout. And here he goes. And he's able to get it to the 10. Tackled by Bo Moose, who's had a decent night tonight. His father's the AD up at Washington State.
Used to be the AD at Oregon.
That's right. Helped build up the Ducks program.
Well, now you wonder, does SC feel strong enough in their running attack and its Wildcat to continue to run it down here? I'm still thinking that they believe in Barkley and Woods in these red zone situations.
And look who's in the backfield with Barkley and Tyler. That is Robert Woods on 2nd and 7. Well played out and perfectly executed. Touchdown, Mark Tyler. Big comeback by the Trojans.
Well, they gave him all the action and flow to the right side, which is the direction that Woods moved into, and then come back with the play to Tyler to the left side. So much attention being paid to Robert Woods. They were distracted by that motion to the opposite side.
And now with the score 22-21, you keep the offense out on the field.
No, you don't.
You make this a 3-point game.
No.
I completely disagree.
You wait until the fourth quarter to go for 2. Reese Davis is with me on that. It's too early. You don't know what's going to happen. 21 minutes left in the game. You miss it, you'll chase this all game long.
They run the ball, and they come up short. Tyler was stopped there, right at the goal line, as Vontez Burfict and Eddie Delder came up to meet him. Bottom line is this: USC has their first lead of the night. They wanted it to be a field goal cushion, but they'll settle for a point. NCAA wrestling champion Anthony Robles.
Oh, wow. What a story.
Mantelpiece prize right there.
Yeah.
He's the guy that inspired so many. One leg, went out there, won the NCAA wrestling championship. This is the guy they want to be a champion in the near future. Brock Osweiler, and he's going to need to step up right now because Matt Barkley and the Trojans have rallied here in the second half to take a 1-point lead. Jamal Miles now on the return. Miles is met at about the 23. Let's check in with RD. Reese?
All right, Joe Tennis, got to bring you a Sports Center right now, presented by Discover Card. Oklahoma State rallied from a 20-3 halftime deficit to win 30-29 over Texas A&M. Brandon Whedon, a huge day, 438 yards, couple of touchdowns. LSU beat West Virginia 47-21 in Morgantown. Tyrann Mathieu, another big game. Sports Center after the game. College football final will follow that. We're preparing the verdict as you speak.
Can't wait to see the final verdict tonight.
I hope they take issue with when to go for 2.
Nah, please. Well, Rod, what is the difference right now if the score was 23-21 or 22-21?
You got
what is
21
the difference?
minutes to play. There could be a lot more scoring.
Osweiler swings it out to Miles. Nice move by Miles. Cuts back against the grain. Still on his feet before he is taken down from behind by Jawanza Starling for an 11-yard gain. Listen, I'm going to keep going on this.
No,
all right?
please don't.
They tried to make it 24-21. They would have the field goal cushion. I don't 23 or 22-21. That's the same thing.
If you're in the fourth quarter and you have a limited number of possessions, you have a point. When you're midway through the third quarter and you have a multitude of possessions left, there's going to be more scoring. You may be chasing.
This is going to come back to kill me, isn't it?
Yes.
Cameron Marshall will swing it out of the backfield to Marshall on first down to the 37. He was tackled by Gallipo and Starling.
Now, the good thing for Arizona State is that they have a manageable third down. They only ran 5 plays before this drive here. They have to stay on the field. USC's run 15 plays in the second half.
2nd and 6 now for Osweiler. Good protection. Good ball downfield. And a flag comes in as Aaron Pflugrad was the intended receiver, but Roby was on top of him.
Yeah, Roby had too much cloth there around the shoulder pad. And you've been around me enough to know that if you're going to hold, you're going to sneak and get pass interference, grab down low.
Pass interference. Number 21 of the defense. This is a spot foul and an automatic first down.
See, hands up around the shoulder pads. That doesn't work. Hand up high doesn't work.
So a first down for the Sun Devils across midfield now as they try to respond after USC with those 2 touchdowns to open up this second half. And that's a good burst by Cameron Marshall. It'll be a 2nd and 1.
That is so difficult to defend. You get the motion, you have guys spread out, you only have one linebacker sitting in that box trying to sift through that blocking and make a play. Difficult.
Quickly out. And another first down to Miles.
Yeah, you see the cat and mouse game? Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like we'll run inside on you when you've got that one linebacker in there. Then when you try and cheat inside, we're going to throw it outside, and we're quicker and faster. We can get to the outside. Oh, now you want to cover the outside? We're going to come back and smash you in the mouth on the inside.
Marshall's the guy that's done the damage on the inside, but he takes a rest now, and Middlebrooks is the back. Miles in motion. Osweiler, pressure on him, but he gets it complete to Pflugrad, and look at Pflugrad go. Down to the 16-yard line before he's cut down by Nick Perry.
Yards after the catch. Osweiler hangs in there when the pocket collapses, but it's the yards after the catch. This is just a short throw, but Pflugrad makes 2 guys miss, which gives him another 12, 14 yards after the catch.
Oh, Miles didn't see that coming. Osweiler looked over his way, let it go, and at the last second, Miles put his hands up, and the ball went harmlessly out. So 2nd and 10 as Osweiler readies the troops right at the line.
Hey, say, quick one. You getting blocked, little boy. Hey, fade on you.
Over the middle and complete. It'll be 1st and goal as he connects with Jarrell Robinson.
Love the confidence. He knew he had to throw that thing on a line to get it in there because he was throwing it into the teeth of the defense. Watch this bullet. Confidently fires that in there in the middle of the field with a couple of guys around.
1st and goal. Marshall. Touchdown, Sun Devils. Big time response by Arizona State. They retake the lead.
Now, I guess you would go for 2 here.
Absolutely. Make it a 7-point margin.
Oh, boy.
Alex Garrett, you're going to have such comedy all year long with this.
I'm going to enjoy
as
it.
the debates continue. An 8-play drive that went 76 yards, and Marshall punched it in.
And Marshall finishing off that run. They did a nice job of mixing up the swing passes, screen passes to the outside with the inside running, spreading them out, and then coming back and pounding them inside. And they changed the tempo during that drive, not to give the USC defense a chance to rest or to substitute.
Noel Mazzoni, the offensive coordinator for Arizona State, does an outstanding job of changing tempo, of knowing just when to press the accelerator and get that play clock to only take about 10 to 15 seconds off, line everybody up, and try to snap that ball at about 26 or 25.
Doing a great job with that. Really mixing things up, including the pace.
He's been with Dennis Erickson many times in the past, had success at Oregon State. Now the offensive coordinator here at ASU with some of this real speedy talent that they're showcasing. Interesting second half, hasn't it been? Arizona State had that 21-9 margin where USC had to settle for field goals, and then Matt Barkley came out and looked like the Heisman hopeful that he is, going 5 for 5, cutting into the lead. Then we had the drive with Mark Tyler, who's just punishing that Arizona State defense as USC retook the lead, and then ASU comes right back on that. Here's Robert Woods from the 3. Woods, high hurdles. The kicker is left, and he takes him down. Alex Garrett stopped Robert Woods at midfield.
Well, he gets good blocking at the point of attack, and he is so quick to get into the lane that he has a chance at a really good return and just couldn't beat the final man. Kicker was in a good spot, had a great angle on him.
47-yard kickoff return, and just like that, USC crosses midfield and is ready to strike again. Tyler, big gaping hole, and Mark Tyler continues with his successful second half as he was chopped down by Eddie Elder.
You know, Tess, we talk about Burfict and his being a top linebacker. Well, he's got to take on this block. He's got to take on this block, disengage, and make a play.
He stood right up.
Yeah. And that's part of the thing that's been going on with him this season, is that his aggressiveness has been limited at times, and that's just thinking too much. And he's an outstanding player, but he's got to get it a little bit more. He can stop that play, or at least limit it.
Tyler on second down. Nobody touched him until then. Ball comes loose, and Arizona State has it. Devrin Carr was in the right place at the right time. Colin Parker stripped it away from Tyler, and ASU has it.
Well, Tyler is just trying to get extra yardage, and it's the spin that has him lose a little control, and that ball is being carried low. You have to carry it high and tight. That ball is low where it can be stripped out. You have to have it tight, 4 points of contact. Didn't have it there. And the last time USC's defense was in a sudden change situation, they didn't handle it well. They weren't prepared, and they changed up the tempo on them offensively.
That's when Burfict had the interception, and Osweiler came right down the field to make it 21-6. Let's see what they do now. Minimal gain that time. That was Kyle Middlebrooks on the carry and tackled by Chris Gallipo.
A lot of football left in this game.
Been a back and forth second half. Osweiler picks up a block from Middlebrooks and then steps out, and I think he does so just at that line to make. Let's see where they mark it. NASCAR chase continues. Sylvania 300 at New Hampshire. Coverage will begin at 1 Eastern on ESPN tomorrow with NASCAR Countdown presented by Napa.
You think Jimmy Johnson's getting back in it tomorrow?
Tony Stewart came up big. last week, and it is a first down for ASU. Osweiler to Miles, and Miles just back to the line of scrimmage.
Starling's
Deion Bailey and Jawanza Starling were in there.
Starling's made a couple of great plays tonight. That open field tackle on a guy like Miles is that's good stuff.
You know, at the end of last year, it was poor tackling that got him benched, so it's nice to see him bounce back. Guy who played some baseball at USC earlier in his Trojans athletic career. 2nd and 10 for Osweiler. The slant that time is complete to Chris Coyle.
Well, the play action pass pulled up the linebackers and created the space behind the linebackers and in front of the safety. Brings up a 3rd down and 1, and they go right to the line of scrimmage.
Marshall, their best in between the tackles runner in the backfield now on 3rd and 1. But they'll pass. And it is batted at the line of scrimmage that time as Chris Gallipo made a fine-looking defensive play.
A much better effort out of USC's defense in that set and change situation. They come up big with the stop. Pflugrad wide open, but the defensive linemen got their hands up to knock that ball down.
So the fumble by Tyler, and Arizona State does not take advantage. Instead, it is Hubner on to punt. Roby is waiting at the 15. And he fields it at the 10. And he is met there, and a flag came in at the end. Well, East Coast time. It is Sunday morning as the college football weekend continues. Some of the headlines from the big Saturday of college football: Brandon Whedon and Oklahoma State, LSU in what was the big matchup that was well hyped, and Florida State. They go from number 5 in the country to now.
The kick return, illegal block in the back. Number 23 of the return center. After this
USC will be pushed back. What stands out to you, Rod?
Well, you know, Whedon didn't have a great first half, but came back and was on fire in that second half. LSU, to me, number 1 team in the country. After what they've done so far this season, I got to move them up over Oklahoma and Alabama. Florida State, boy, what do they have left after those 2 games in a short period of time? I'm stunned by the change of fortune for Florida State.
Take a look at that Oklahoma State schedule, because they may be headed with a collision course deep into the season with OU with it all on the line. Play action now, Barkley from his end zone. And he gets it complete for a first down to Robert Woods. How about that arm on Matt Barkley?
Yeah, that's why the NFL scouts drew. This is a great throw on the move. Nice route by Woods, little comeback. And that ball is put out there. You got a quarterback on the move throwing a pinpoint bullet to the far sideline.
Red Ellison, who was about 5 yards upfield from Woods, was looking and saying, "Oh, was that 10 to... Oh, no! Robert Woods is behind me, and it's a dart to him."
Yeah.
Look at this. I mean, the numbers Woods continues to put up. Over 100 yards again. Marquise Lee now on the end around. And a nice cutback by Lee before his legs were taken out by Clint Floyd.
Yeah, he just gave Davon Coleman, number 43 of the business. Coleman thought he had him wrapped up outside, and he just gave him the oops.
You know what Lane Kiffin says about Marquise Lee? He says, listen, the guy's going to be a star. You look at his body type, he'll be bigger, stronger, faster than Robert Woods.
That's scary. That is pretty scary because Woods is pretty good.
Tyler on 2nd and 3. Trojans' offensive line is opening up big holes. Another first down.
Well, Holmes, the center, 78, really created a stalemate over there and got some help from Marcus Martin, 66 again, to open up that area.
That was a highly entertaining third quarter. USC rallied to take the lead. Arizona State came back. College football primetime presented by Hampton Hotels. Our game summary, well, it sets up for this to be a good-looking fourth quarter. Mark Tyler now 123 yards rushing for the Trojans. He's been the workhorse here in the second half. Arizona State trying to beat USC. USC has won their last 11 straight against the Sun Devils. Could that change tonight? Matt Barkley changing things up at the line. And Tyler, first play of the fourth quarter, and he continues with what he's done. He was tackled by Corey Adams.
USC cannot win the South Division or play in the Pac-12 championship game because of their postseason ban. Arizona State can, however, and they are considered a front runner in the South, along with Utah.
And that is what's on the line tonight, to stay in position and try to get a trip to that December 2nd Pac-12 championship game. 2nd and 7, Barkley to pass. And he connects this time with Lee. Goes down to the 42. Bring up a third down.
Well, the Pac-12 season just getting underway. You see Arizona already with a conference loss. Utah lost to USC. Arizona State, this is their first game. USC with one win and UCLA with one win, although UCLA has had a tough go of it in the non-conference season.
Arizona State defense has stepped up on third down spots like this. USC 0 for 6, 3rd and 5. Barkley, plenty of time, and he gets it complete for a first down to Robert Woods.
Woods does a great job of finding the soft spot whenever Arizona State goes to zone. I mean, here's the isolation of him. You see, he knows that he's being pushed inside. He knows where the linebacker is supposed to be, and he just finds that soft spot between the linebacker, in front of the safety, and away from the corner.
The USC receiver has never led the nation in receptions. Woods could do it this year.
Yep.
Came in as the leader. He's got 7 for 122 yards tonight. Bryce Butler now. And Butler is forced out at the 41 by Clint Floyd. Mark Tyler, by the way, noticeably absent the last couple of plays. He came limping off, and now he makes his way back out onto the field. See big number 26, the 230-pound senior. He's over 100 yards tonight. Had the 10-yard touchdown run to give USC their first lead of the night at 22-21. But now here they trail by 6. The pitch to Tyler. Good block out in front by Matt Khalil. And here goes Tyler inside the 20. You want to see what an All-American left tackle looks like? Take a look at this replay and watch Matt Khalil.
Yeah, not just an All-American, a guy who may be the 2nd overall pick in the draft. Look at the speed and the athletic ability of a guy who goes at 6'7", 295 and just flattens the defender to open up a huge hole for Tyler.
And Osahan Irabor, who received that block from Matt Khalil, is just getting up now at midfield and walking off.
Yeah, well, 180 doesn't stand up very well to 300 pounds.
When Todd McShay is doing all his little snippets and film of NFL prospects next spring, that's going to be on the list.
Yeah. Well, you know, this guy's already considered a top 5 pick, and some people, Todd McShay included, thinks, you know, he could be the 2nd overall pick if he comes out, and I think there's little doubt that he's going to come out.
And he opened up that big hole for Mark Tyler, and now the Trojans in great position here with a first down at the 19. McNeil gets the call. And Curtis McNeil, as they push ahead down to the 11-yard line, tackled by Colin Parker.
Well, here's that big block once again by Khalil 75. You see him just take off and head to the outside, and he finds Irabor and just pummels him into the ground.
By the way, he's something special on special teams as well. 2 blocked field goals. Had that blocked field goal to preserve the win at the end of the Utah game.
Well, when you're that big and you're able to move that well, that quickly with such quick feet, that's why you're being mentioned as a possible top pick next to Andrew Luck.
There's been 21 USC offensive linemen taken in the first round of the NFL draft through the years. McNeil again, and he is smothered this time. He had nowhere to go as Greg Smith just covered him.
Filling in for Junior Onyeli is Greg Smith, stepping in for one of his few starts, and he gets up and makes a real good play, sharing that spot over there with Davon Coleman tonight.
Alden Darby, the cornerback, also came in to get in there. So now a 3rd and 5.
Well, you know where I would go. And I'm sure Arizona State is thinking the one thing you don't want to do is have single coverage on Robert Woods down here.
Near side slot for number 2's in motion now. 3rd and 5. Low snap. Barkley pressured. Fumbles the ball. There's a pile up there at the 19-yard line and a fight for it. Greg Smith had the pressure, and Arizona State recovers the fumble. So a 3rd down disaster. Bo Moose, the big inside defensive tackle, was laying on the pigskin.
That's another red zone failure for USC. And this ball's got to come out quick. Matt Barkley knows this is a 3-step. You got to get rid of the ball. He holds it too long, and he double clutches a second time, and that's not good quarterback play.
They've been knocking on the door so many times in the red zone, but Erickson's group slams it shut again.
Back here in Tempe, Arizona, let's show you what Matt Barkley was looking at. Here's Robert Woods. He thought he had him in single coverage, totally unaware of the fact that there was going to be a safety coming over to help. He's looking that way, double pumping, waiting for him on the double move. Now you see the safety come over. He's in trouble there. It is much too late. He wanted to wait to get to Woods, and he should have gotten rid of that football. Misread on the coverage. Great job by Arizona State secondary.
3rd USC turnover. All 3 of them deep in ASU territory tonight. Cameron Marshall, just a gain of about 1.5 yards that time. Shane Horton was quick to get to him.
Here's that play from Barkley's perspective as he's under duress, and that ball comes out just as he was trying to get rid of it. That was a quick 3-step drop, and the pressure got there.
Osweiler, the slant, Mike Willie, and Willie goes leaping to the 39-yard line. 1st down, Sun Devils.
Nothing fancy about it except the hurdle by Willie.
There's Miles, still on his feet, and then pushed out, and a flag does come in. T.J. McDonald. Remember, T.J. McDonald had those 2 personal fouls in the first half.
That's his 3rd 15-yarder of the night.
That's not going to sit well in film study.
After the play was over, personal foul. Played head out of bounds. Number 7 of the defense. 15-yard penalty. 1st down.
I think that was more an issue of the impact on the player than McDonald taking the hit right at the line of scrimmage. He was coming full speed. I don't have a problem with him going after. That's a safety issue they're trying to protect over there.
Advances the ball to the USC 42. Osweiler, play action, steps up, has room, and slides, and oh man. Good thing that he got down in time because Shane Horton was coming in. No flag there, and you hear the reaction by the crowd.
Well, you know, the no call is the right call.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, you can't be responsible for the diving by the quarterback at that point where he exposes himself. He's going in to make the tackle, and then Osweiler goes down that way.
Listen to the crowd as they see the replay.
Yeah, I know.
So 2nd and 6 after the Osweiler 4-yard run. Marshall in the backfield with him. And he gets the call, and he goes nowhere at all. Hayes Poulard, Nick Perry. So much on the line tonight for Dennis Erickson and where this program is, and just getting over the hurdle of the men of Troy. USC has won 11 straight. You got to go back to 99 for their last win. You got to go back to 97 for the last time they beat the Trojans here at Sun Devil Stadium.
Big third down.
They need to get to the 32. Pressure on Osweiler. First down to Pflugrad.
Boy, did he stand in there. He had McDonald coming in, a full head of steam, and Osweiler stood in there and just delivered it. He was willing to take the hit. Watch this. He stands in there. That is big-time quarterback play.
He knew it was coming, and he turned that shoulder right into it.
A nice little route by Pflugrad to pick up the first down.
Play action, swings it out there. And that was a little too high for the 5'10" Pflugrad.
How conservative will Arizona State become now? I mean, they are at the 30-yard line, which is really the scoring zone for them. At this point, you're looking at a 47-yard field goal.
Well, Alex Garrett missed from 32 last week against Illinois, and his career long is 49. 2nd and 10. First down, trying to get some more, and he's down to the 16-yard line, and ASU is in business.
Yeah, not too conservative. They love the fact that Mike Willie goes 6'4", 220, and uses that body to shield away defenders, and particularly a smaller defender that he has to work against an Anthony Brown, who goes at about 5'9".
Marshall on the first down run, and he picks up about 8.5 yards, and they are inside the 10. And Brock Osweiler struggled a bit last week against the Illini. Tonight, managing the situation.
He's been efficient, and he has not turned the football over.
Cam Marshall. How about a 1st and goal with the clock counting down at 7:04.
And Christian Tupou tried to pull the ball out more so than make the tackle.
USC defense desperate for a stop here.
Well, they're thinking turnover and not stop.
USC was forced to call a timeout.
Second charge timeout, USC.
There was an extra defender on the field. Arizona State trying to secure a win when we return. Trying to pull off something they haven't done since '97, a home win against USC. USC's won 11 straight against the Sun Devils. With a crafty veteran on the left against the hotshot young buck coach on the right. And now Cameron Marshall gives Dennis Erickson's squad the cushion. Touchdown, Sun Devils. Now with the margin at 12
in the fourth quarter, you go for 2.
You make it the 2 touchdown.
Now, even if SC had held them to a field goal here, it would have been a 9-point lead, which would have made that failed 2-point conversion a problem for USC.
That's why you don't do it in the third quarter.
That's why you don't do it in the third quarter.
So the 2-point conversion to try to make it a 14-point game. A flag comes. What a catch by Willie with one hand out of bounds, but the flag came down. So they'll be able to get another shot if the pass interference does indeed go against Tony Burnett.
Well, Willie had one hand, one arm pinned down.
Could he have been more relaxed in just making that amazing catch?
That was pretty cool. Lane Kiffin is trying to argue that it was uncatchable.
Really? Looked like super glue was attached to Willie's hand.
Hey, well, actually he did catch it, you know.
They're talking it over. See if Lane gets his way.
Pass interference. Number 34, the defense. The pass was ruled incomplete. The extra point will be retried. Half the distance to the goal.
So they get another shot at the conversion. As the ball is stretching across the 2-yard line.
Well, they've got choices. You know, th'ey've got the same matchup, 6'4" versus 5'8", 5'9", and they have a loaded backfield where they could try and run it inside.
A full backfield diamond formation as Miles goes in motion, and they give to Miles. Nobody's out there, and he gets in. USC's defenders had to come over and pursue late, and Miles just scooted his way in to make it a 14-point margin. Marshall brought it in. And then Miles tacked on the 2. And ASU may have what they're looking for soon enough. Glad you're with us here in Tempe. Joe Tessitore alongside Rod Gilmore and Shelley Smith. As the USC fans are saying, how are we going to get out of this one? Sun Devils up 36-22. You don't want to kick to that guy. Robert Woods, number 2. Star receiver for USC. The do-it-all return man. They switch sides at the last minute, and they don't kick to him. They pooch it high, and it takes a bounce, and it goes out. And the flag comes in.
That's going to give them good field position, though.
Kickoff out of bounds against the kicking team. USC will put the ball in play at the 40-yard line. First down.
You know, Tess, nothing's hurt USC bigger tonight than their miscues, their turnovers. Here's the first one. You have a Tyler turnover when he made a big run. That's not a good deal for USC. And then how about this other one? You get this one knocked down. He covered also Barkley's fumble and the late hit out of bounds.
Barkley, pressure on Barkley. Flag comes in, intercepted. How about this? Shelley Lyons. Touchdown, Arizona State. We will wait for the flag. The pressure came from Jarrett, and Barkley was put in a tough spot, and Lyons made him pay the price.
Holding. Number 77 of the offense. This penalty is declined. Result of the play is a touchdown.
Shelley Lyons, who comes from Southern California, played high school ball with his teammate Vontez Burfict in some of those memorable games against Matt Barkley. Comes up big here.
Yeah, Barkley's trying to make something happen when there's nothing there. He's in the grass. He puts it out there with nothing on it. Shelley makes a fantastic play. Linebacker showing great hands, and he's got himself a pick 6.
Well, that third quarter was back and forth with great drama in a close game, but ASU has just blown this thing wide open here. point by Garut, and all of a sudden, 43-22.
Oh, that happened quickly.
Let's go back and look at the interception by Lions.
Yeah, Barkley has nothing on this. Protection breaks down. He's trying to make a play. He's got no legs behind this ball, floats it out there. It's too high for Tyler to do anything about. Shelley says, thank you very much.
And Big Brock ready to celebrate with his teammates. All the preseason talk about what could be for Arizona State. Now with this Pac-12 division format, it still can be. They could be headed towards a special year if they can get through the course of the Pac-12 slate and find themselves in that championship game. And this was a big one to overcome on their way there.
And you know, for USC, they had goals of winning the Pac-12, winning the South, and just showing the country that they're still a dominant program, even if they can't play in the postseason.
And the up man, Xavier Grimble, takes a knee. Monday Night Football coming your way, 8:30 Eastern. Cowboys and Redskins. Skins are 2-0. And coverage will begin 7 Eastern with Monday Night Countdown served by Applebee's. Tony Romo. Quick healing Tony Romo.
What a lot of
punctured lung.
Oh, man, he showed some
Imagine
some
being out
guts
there
last weekend
with a rib injury and a punctured lung and playing.
I guarantee you cannot breathe. You cannot breathe.
Turnovers have been the story. They scored 22 points as ASU off of 4 USC turnovers. And the screen is dropped that time by McNeil.
Well, there's definite deflation on the USC sideline. Guys are now sitting down.
Go ahead, Shelley. What do you have for us?
I'm sorry. There's a lot of deflation here on the USC sideline. Guys sitting down. A 20-point or 21-point deficit is almost impossible to overcome. However, Matt Barkley ran out there with a lot of confidence, looking like he wanted to finish strong, if nothing else.
Let's see how he does here. USC has turned the ball over their last 3 possessions. And he gets this complete to Robert Woods. Third and 1 for Barkley as McNeil is the lone back. And he cuts back and struggles to try to find that line as a fired up ASU defense continues their good work tonight. Corey Adams and Colin Parker.
That's going to be close. He danced a bit too much. On a 3rd and 1, you just have to put your head down and try and eke it out. Yeah, he's short. That's going to be a 4th down. They have no choice. They have to go for it here.
And there was motion.
Can it get any worse?
False start. Number 77 of the offense. 5-yard penalty. 4th down will be repeated.
That was on the right side. That was Devin Graff who jumped. You know, now, Tess, the problem is you don't turn this over. You're pretty much setting up Arizona State for another automatic score just to make it look bad. Or worse, I should say.
4th and 6 now. Barkley. And incomplete. So, yes, indeed, with 4:58 to go, Arizona State will have that short field route. Don't tell me they could hang half 100 on the Trojans.
Wow. Unthinkable.
Look at Kiffin's face. Joe Rodden with you on ESPN's College Football Primetime, presented by Hampton Hotels. Arizona State up big on the Trojans. Good hands play is brought to you by Allstate, Rod.
Oh, that's going to be Robinson. Well, Robinson doing a nice job a couple of times in the end zone. Difficult situations of making catches, being harassed by smaller defensive backs, but he showed the good hands.
Over the course of the past 11 meetings when Arizona State has failed to defeat USC, there have been nail-biters, there have been thrillers, there have been disappointments, and now just a whooping by ASU in this fourth. Marshall gets a couple there.
Well, certainly if you're Arizona State, you want to run the ball and milk the clock, try to end the game as quickly as you can. USC certainly doesn't want anything else on the board for pride's sake, whether it's a field goal or a touchdown.
99 the last time the Sun Devils defeated the Trojans. Of course, that decade of dominance by USC. Not many Pac-12 teams got in their way. Marshall wants to stay in, and he does so. That was smart move by Cameron Marshall. Just milk that clock as it's going to go under 4 minutes here.
Well, this will give Arizona State a leg up in the South Division of the Pac-12, considering that Utah has one loss already. They've lost to USC. So starting the conference with a win puts Arizona State in a good position as they look forward on their schedule.
When you think about that game last week at Illinois, did that thing ever set up as a trap game when you look at their schedule or what?
Yeah, huge.
3rd and 7 for Osweiler. Flag here. Osweiler's going to take a strike to Fugrad, and it falls incomplete. They had the big overtime thrilling win against Missouri at home. The blackout, the place was going nuts. They had this game with USC, a ranked 3-0 USC team, and sandwiched in between was a trip to Illinois.
Yeah, well, you know, veteran teams understand that, and they learn how to prepare for it.
Offside. Lined up in the neutral zone, number 81 of the defense. 5-yard penalty. 3rd down will be repeated.
Look at this schedule, and see where there's the trap game with Illinois. They could have won, should have won, whatever. Illinois is a decent team.
Well, and then they get Oregon State, and then a big showdown with Utah, which is really going to have a lot to say about the South Division. And then obviously they continue on the conference, but that head-to-head with Utah is going to be huge for who wins the South.
Of course, at Oregon is a massive undertaking. But who knows? Come December 2nd, if they stay the course, maybe Big Brock and company could be playing in that Pac-12 championship game. It's a good way to get league play started. And on 3rd and 2, Cameron Marshall does what he's been doing tonight. Powers ahead. Started the game with a 70-yard touchdown run.
You mentioned that trap game they had last week.
Yes.
The Arizona State coaches told us, they could tell their guys were struggling. They were still getting pats on the back on Wednesday and Thursday, and family members saying, friends, great job, great job. That's when a veteran team, experienced team, coaches up their family and friends and say, hey, you guys got to back off. You got to help us. If you're on board with us, help us look to the next game. Not looking back.
You can just sense this crowd is enjoying every second of watching that clock tick down and that big cushion. 43-22 as ASU had 22 unanswered points after USC took their only lead of the game at 22-21, and they couldn't have looked better in the 3rd quarter the way they came out with Barkley passing and Tyler running. Barkley was really in the zone there coming out of halftime, but things fell apart in the 4th.
You have to give a lot of credit to this Arizona State defense. Beat up, beleaguered, missing several starters, but the backup stepped up and played great.
Marshall just bulldozes ahead. Reminder that SportsCenter is coming up. The coach is going to be there with Kevin Connors. And Kirk Herbstreit and David Pollack are going to analyze LSU's big win against West Virginia. Plus, they'll have the full day of college football. I thought this was one of the great days on the schedule when you looked at it. Thriller with Oklahoma State and Texas A&M. You had Florida State and Clemson. And you want to see what RG3 did tonight. Robert Griffin III, the Heisman candidate at Baylor.
You know what? He has more touchdown passes on the season than he has incomplete passes.
105 degrees, a big win, and a cold, cool ending for Dennis Erickson. He's been waiting a long time for that bucket of Gatorade.
Long time since they've beaten USC. Can't blame them for enjoying this one.
And it's fitting that it's Vontez Burfict who had the honors, because he had the big play tonight, the interception. That was a big swing play in this game. And also the composure that he showed. They talk about him as the, guy with reckless emotions at times, the All-American candidate, but he's turning into a leader of this team, isn't he?
Getting back to being himself, playing the way he knows how to play, playing the way that's made him a top 5 linebacker.
And Marshall's going to be close here on 4th and 4 as we go under a half a minute. Dennis Erickson, second win ever against USC. He was 1-8 against the Trojans. You have to go back to 2000 when he was with Oregon State the last time he defeated USC. As far as Arizona State is concerned, their first win since '99 against the men of Troy. So the turnover on downs after that last run, and now a coaching moment between Lane Kiffin and Matt Barkley. As Barkley thought he had things headed in the right direction, managed this team to that 22-21 lead, and then the turnovers got them again.
Got them in the fourth quarter. It all fell apart. It looked like there was going to be a great close finish, but the turnovers ended any hope of SC getting back in the game.
And this is Curtis McNeil with a 9-yard run. As those turnovers tonight, 4 of them, many of them deep in ASU territory, and then Shelley Lyons with the interception return for a touchdown. And Erickson says, "Good job, boys. You can celebrate now." They finally do it. They break the streak. USC had won 11 straight against the Sun Devils, but they thump them here in the fourth. Let's go down to the field to Shelley Smith.
All right, Coach, how's that Gatorade feel?
I never had a greater Gatorade bath in my. That's 11 years it's been since we beat these guys. I'm so proud of this football team and the coaches and the job they did. Fell behind there in the third quarter, and they showed a lot of grit and came back and won the game. It was just a great victory for this program.
With all the injuries, with the loss last week, you fall behind tonight. What does it say about your team's resilience?
They just got great resilience. And I mean, a lot of them have been here for a long time, and this is such a huge win for us right now. And we'll worry about the rest of the season tomorrow, I guess.
All right, congratulations.
That's a coach that won 2 national titles at Miami, and he's expressing how much this means to come up with this win. He's been trying to build this program up, and maybe this will be the year that Pac-12 success comes their way. Osweiler had 2 touchdown scores, 223 yards. Marshall, 141 yards rushing and 3 touchdowns. 43-22 Arizona State. Coming up next is SportsCenter. For Rod Gilmore and Shelley Smith and the rest of our crew, I'm Joe Tessitore. Enjoy the rest of your night, including SportsCenter right now.